So we have 5 wonderful people here at our panel that will tell you 5 things that they wish to have known, they knew before they were entering the industry. So it's another panel giving you practical advice. And yeah, Tim, you're the host for this panel.
Yeah.
And so I give it over to you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I won't give you any advice on my career path because it's not really interesting. But okay, welcome to the last panel about the time machine thing. We're talking about career path, indeed, and like the way people like you try to like achieve something and the way you achieved them. And I think something like a virus is going around. So we had 4 panelists for today and 2 called in sick. And so we have 2 great replacements. And so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who's who, because what I did is I checked them out a little bit on LinkedIn and saw, okay, how went their career, and is there something that is like a big break or something like a cut, or was there something like an epiphany sitting under the mango tree and saying, okay, I really need to do this now. So on my left, it's Sarah Longthorne. You've already seen her. And Sarah studied script writing and performance and literature and drama and writing at the University of East Anglia, which is Norwich. Like it's kind of Netherlands, right?
Yeah.
And then you had this internship at the Writer. And then you worked as a marketing executive for Syndicate Room in Cambridge. Kind of a startup, right?
Yeah, that's a startup.
And then you did like email marketing.
Yeah.
At Jagex.
Yes.
How do you like Jagex? Everybody knows Jagex? Like it's the developer of the MMORPG RuneScape.
Some nodding heads now.
And so you were doing lots of different stuff at Jagex than just marketing.
So my job was to do marketing. I ended up doing the copywriting as well because they didn't rehire someone else and they said that it would lead to a full-time job. So I ended up doing that as well as my old boss's job because they never rehired for him either. So I was doing 3 jobs there and then also volunteering to do a lot of writing on the side. So, yay!
And now you're here.
And now I'm here. I got out.
Time machine again. Okay, next is one of the replacements.
Hello.
It's Linda Rendel. She's a producer at formerly known Ubisoft Blue Byte, now Ubisoft Düsseldorf. Yeah. Because I wasn't able to really stalk you on LinkedIn. Please, can you just introduce yourself a little bit?
Yes, I can. I think I had a quite different path into the industry. I studied English literature, so not really connected to what I do now. And I started loving video games because my grandpa was a very big fan of games and computers, so he had his own little computer room, and as a little kid I was always there sitting on his lap looking at what he was doing. And he also played the Settlers a lot. It was one of his favorite games. So I kind of grew up with it. But what I didn't see for a long time is that I actually could have a career in video games. So after school I was like, okay, I really like reading, I really like English, so let's study English literature and then see what happens. And then during my master semester, a workshop happened from a producer at Blue Byte Düsseldorf, and he talked a lot about what he was doing. And I thought, okay, maybe for producing games and managing, you have to have a degree in economics or something. And I approached him and he said, no, I studied history here and then did an internship. And from this point on, I was like, okay, I want to try, and wrote tons of applications. And then first found an internship at a smaller serious game studio where I dabbled a little bit in project management and also looked at the other areas. And then, luckily, I got accepted at Ubisoft Düsseldorf, where I'm still and now working as a producer for location-based VR games, which is super exciting. That's basically it.
Could you just pass over the mic? Thanks. Okay. So we just talked in the corner. Cornelia Köhler, representative of Women in Film. And you studied German literature and history, and you were also working as a rhetoric coach, like telling people how to talk straight.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Then you changed and became part of the media industry, did something with media.
Yes, I did something with media. I was a sitcom producer because I really love to entertain people, and it was a big step for me to leave Münster, where I studied. It's a very small town, very nice, and then I went to Cologne. It was a big cut, and I really started as a Praktikantin. I don't know the English expression, and I did everything, but it touched me, and I liked it very much, and so I get the chance to work together with the producer of the company, and so we developed together some scripts for the sitcoms you might know. Das Amt. It's a sitcom it's an office sitcom from the end of the 1990s and the beginning of the 20s. Yeah, with Jochen Busse. It's a long time ago. And then we did another show with Bernd Stelter. Maybe you know him. He is big in Cologne Carnival as well. And it was called Bernds Hexe. The original story is Bewitched. So we did it in the beginning of the 2000s. So I think we finished 2007. And there were no sitcoms anymore in German TV, and so I had to find something new. And I went back to my old roots, to literature, and worked as a director and writer for a company which developed school films, so education films. And so I did 13 DVDs about Johann Wolfgang Goethe, Friedrich Schiller, and all the other male and white guys people had to read in school till today.
Okay, thanks for the introduction. Last but not least, Marlene Bucka.
Hello.
Hi. So, as many of the people on this panel and probably also here have not as straight as career path as you seem to have, because you're working as at the SAE in Zurich.
Yeah, right.
As a game art and 3D animation instructor, head instructor now.
Yes.
But
correct.
you just started like 8 months ago there?
Yeah, correct. So, yeah, I made my bachelor last year. So, yeah, I was surprised too. I'm 26 years old and applied to Zurich as a game supervisor, so help out the head instructor. And like you talked in the panel before about saying yes to opportunities you don't think you can do, I thought about, okay, they think I can do it. I have experience and I'm confident. And I thought, okay, I think about it, but yeah, why shouldn't I do it? And yeah, that's why I am head instructor now. I learned a lot in my first month, and I had moments I thought, okay, wow, this is a lot. How can I do it? But I talked with my other, with my colleagues and asked for experience, and it worked out great. I got so much good feedback, and yeah.
Okay, maybe because you have the mic now, we continue the panel with you. How is it? Do you have a team? Like, do you have people who are kind of contributing to your work that work for you?
Yeah. Yes. I'm. Well, it's new for me. I have two people, boy and a girl, for the Womenize input, and they are the game supporters now. So I applied for the game support job and I got head instructor, and these two guys are helping me out, making grades of the students, make lessons for the students, support them, and I have to give them tasks. And I think it's a good thing that I just made my bachelor last year, because I'm just at the point of what students have for problems and what you need to support more, and that's a good thing. And I get the feedback of my also of my what is called the two supporters. I have to give tasks. I always talk on eye level with them and get a lot of good feedback, and can just put it in the lessons and the support of the students.
So being relatively young and new to the job, how do you handle authority when decisions have to be made? Do you make them? Do you can like put your fist on the table and like say, okay, but we have to do this now?
I have to, so I do now. But before that, I couldn't do that. I was, should I really do it? I asked a lot of persons, could we do this like that? But now I realize, okay, I have to do it, so I do it, and it works out fine. And I do decisions where I think, was it really the right decision? And afterwards, I get the feedback. I see, okay, this worked great. I said, no, you can't do you cannot do that for the project. And the students came to me afterwards and said, oh, you're right. I would have failed my project with so many ideas. And yeah. I step up, I do what I need to do, and I get feedback all the time from other colleagues to know I'm going the right way.
That's good. Sarah.
Yes. Hello.
Hi. So your career path is different. So when you started and doing like this kind of, I wouldn't say like typical liberal arts education, but it's not games.
No.
And then, but you ended up in games and in writing for games. Do you now kind of regret a little bit that you haven't taken on writing for games in the first place without the, like looking here, looking there, doing this, doing that?
Do you mean at university level or after university?
Whatever, or just applying for a job and saying, I'm a good writer, you can test me out, I can do an internship here, and then I want to write directly, and not with, I don't know, when did you start writing, but maybe 4 years earlier.
I think I definitely chose the right university course, because even though it wasn't directly writing for games, there are a lot of crossovers between screenwriting, for instance, and also I'm kind of torn on whether I did the right thing straight after uni or not. There's a degree to which you can argue that diverse experience in lots of other fields and other different things gives you a different kind of edge. You have different experiences to draw from, which others who have gone straight into writing might not have. Having the experience as a marketer, for example, gives you that sort of insight, and you can really feed that into your work. But equally, yeah, I do see the other side of it as well. And, I can't, take that time back and do it again. But there was a lot of fear there when I left university. Everyone was telling me, your degree is worthless. You can't make money from being a writer, not creatively. And I was like, wow. I mean, that's the reason I went into marketing, was because I thought the only way I could write and get paid a stable salary was being a copywriter. And so that's what I did. And for a long time, I just thought that, I was applying for jobs which other people told me, I was overqualified for, because I was scared that I wouldn't get them. And I was scared of, trying to break through that glass ceiling that we've been talking about. And to be honest, I probably could have gone for stuff earlier, stuff that I'm doing now. I mean, I got kind of annoyed because back when I was freelance, I was in the middle of an interview process for this writing job. And I ended up turning it down for Fusebox, where I ended up. But it was me and this other guy who they'd already employed before me, and I was going to be the second writer in their team. And I'd been sort of working for a long time, outside of games before getting in there. And I looked at this guy they'd already hired, and they had hired him while he was still in university to be the first writer on their team. And I was like, why didn't I do that? And I was like, trying to feel like really pleased for him and like, well done him and stuff. But also I'm like, I should have done that. And I honestly don't know to this day whether I would have been successful if I tried.
Of course, you can never know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I am where I am now, so that's what matters.
Linda, is there like I wouldn't say a similar situation, but a situation where you now regret that you took advice from somebody that turned out not to be as good as you, I don't know, like back then expected to be? Somebody saying, oh, probably do not go to the games industry. You never know if this is like a sure thing, or maybe you should not start with liberal arts in the first place. Or
Yeah, I kind of had the same situation where I was told, okay, having a degree in literature is worthless. So every time you tell this to someone, the first question they ask is, okay, what you're going to do with it? But for me, my studies, first of all, it really helped me to learn how to manage myself and become more confident. And it also did put me in different situations where constellations of people change, where you come together with different people from different backgrounds, different cultures. I also learned a lot about the English language, obviously, which helped also a lot in the field I'm now, because we always talk in English at Ubisoft. And it's all those little things and those soft skills that really helped me grow. And I don't think that if I straight out of school, if I had just jumped straight into the games industry, I'm not sure if I had been like mature enough and skilled enough to do it. So my studies helped me a lot in figuring out and giving me time how to grow.
okay. Dagmar. Sorry, not Dagmar, of course not. Sorry, I mix it up. Connie. Connie is fine, not Cornelia, not the long.
You do it like you do, but normally people say Connie to me.
I'm lazy, so Connie.
Oh, Connie,
yes.
yeah.
So you had this moment in your life where you said, okay, I don't want to be, like a rhetoric coach anymore, and I'm going to do something completely different. How was that? I mean, this is kind of giving up something, maybe giving up a network of people you work with and like certain habits, and then starting anew and going into like media. Or how can you just explain a little bit about your worries and your future prospects back then?
I was very I loved teaching a long time, and then there was a time I didn't like it anymore. And I think it's not fair to all the people you are teaching when you in fact you don't like to teach, and you don't like the people you are teaching. And I really can remember these scenes when I stand in front of a Spiegel mirror and said to myself, I really can't go there and tell them how to be straight and talk loudly and all that. I was really bored myself, and I decided I have to do something new. And then I really asked the Film- und Medienstiftung NRW. I had a phone call there. It was nearly in time before there was any internet, I have to tell the truth. Yeah, it's a long time ago. But I called them, and they gave me the chance to be a Praktikantin in a movie, which is called Nie mehr zweite Liga, which I think for me it was a kind of aim for me. So I decided to stay in Cologne and to become part of the media industry, and I think it was a good decision. So I did this kind of step back because I told you that I did then the school educational films, so I was then there also dealing with the topic of German literature. But I think it was a good idea, really a good step to say, no, I don't want to do that anymore, and now I do something different. And it's not very clever in terms of money and security, I have to tell you. A lot of friends of mine, they are now directors of schools, headmasters of schools, and they earn masses really a lot of money compared to me. But I'm very happy in this situation, not to earn less money, but to do things I'm really interested in, and to learn every day new things, and to stay really curious about life and new media. And I think liberal arts is very good. They are really good studies, and not only because of the soft skills, but also because you learn a lot of society, a lot of I studied history as well, so you get a really good overview about about mankind. It sounds very big, but I think it's so, yeah.
Okay. About if anybody of you just wants to say something, please. I don't have to ask questions. If you just want to converse, please do so, and grab a mic. And otherwise, I would just stick with the educational thing for one more question, which we will go to all of you. Like, did you plan your careers in a way? Like, how far did you plan in advance when you started to study something, what you want to do with it?
Thanks. Hello? Okay, I'm on. Yeah, so for me, I wasn't planning ahead very much. I was just doing the thing that I loved. Even at that point, everyone was like, don't do this creative writing-esque course. I just thought, well, it's the thing that I'm good at, and doing something else just because it's going to make me more money isn't going to work for me. I'm going to be bad at it, and I'm not going to be able to make a living. So I'm going to take a chance on it. But even at that stage, I didn't actually think it would turn into anything. I didn't imagine myself, especially doing what I'm doing now. But what I have always wanted to do is write a book. And for me, it was about preparing for that. But in terms of a salaried role, I always thought, well, as I said earlier, I want to write, so I guess if I want to get paid for that, then I'm going to be a copywriter, because that seems like the only thing to do. And then once I joined Jagex, I sort of, I realized that there was this whole world of narrative design and games writing, and so I thought, well, I honestly thought it was going to take a lot longer to get where I am now. I wasn't even copywriting at that point, so I thought, okay, well, maybe 2 years doing email marketing, and then maybe they'll let me do the copywriting, which they did, but for free. And then I thought, well, I'll probably have to do copywriting for 5 years, and then maybe they'll let me do some narrative. And it turned out to be a lot faster than that, but because I decided to go, screw this, I'm going to go on my own. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, I didn't really plan it either, which is kind of funny because I'm very passionate about planning things and it's my job now. But yeah, I had parents who were super supportive and who always raised me in a way where they said, okay, go for what you love. So that's what I did basically, and I just tried out different things, and then games was the one thing I loved the most, so that's what I did.
As you can imagine, I didn't plan, not very good. So I was always interested in the subject I was dealing with. So when I studied German literature and history, I was really interested in the subject. And of course, it is easy to become a teacher afterwards because this is what you normally do. But then I did some other career steps, and I think it's a good decision. And it's till today that I'm really a person who is dealing with that what I'm doing. So I'm curious, and I love to find out something new. And so I'm now working as a journalist. So this fits also. And so I'm really driven by the subjects and not by a kind of career or strategy.
Yeah, I didn't plan my career either. I think I'm still in my career plan. So when I started or when I finished school, I wanted to study art, and to get in art schools is hell. So in public art schools, it's very difficult. And so I went the way that is easier. I got on a private school and studied game design first and realized, okay, it's not art enough.
What do you mean?
Game design is more the scripting mechanics of a game, writing down how the game is built, and the game artist is creating the assets for the game. So I wanted to be a creator. And I started at SIE in Stuttgart. I changed the school and I realized, oh, the people are awesome. I love the school, I worked there. I made my bachelor and I always tried to connect. I kept in touch with my old school lecture. I went to Covadis and connected there with people and go to conventions like Womenize or stuff like that. And always, even if I wasn't confident enough to talk to someone at the first, the second or the third time I went there, you see the faces and you realize, oh, I know this face, and you get more confident to talk to them. And I just didn't know what to do after my bachelor last year. And so I started working at SIE just as a supervisor to get into the field, to just keep going, don't stop. And I got the opportunity to get to Zurich and move to my boyfriend. That was the main move. And I always had supported parents who made it possible. Yeah. So I go with the flow and look what options are open and what I want to do. Yeah.
You did a term abroad in San Diego.
Yes.
How important was it for you and for your personal development as well?
Very important because I didn't have very much school, so I had 1 or 2 days at school. It was the game design study way. And so I said, okay, I have so less hours of school, I'm doing paintings every day. So I got online and painted for free paintings for other people, just for fun. And I wanted to do that, and I became better and better on self-studying. The studying itself wasn't that important for me in this point of my life. It was more important that I realized, oh no, I need to do art again. This was the design part I studied, and I said no, I need the art part. Yeah.
Okay, and this was something that came to you in San Diego, or could have happened this in, I don't know, like Osnabrück as well?
Well, I'm not sure. I was never in Osnabrück. So, but San Diego, it was a different culture. Even I didn't realize it to the point that America is so much different. And I had a really bad experience with my Mitbewohner.
Flatmate?
Yeah, and I needed a safe point, so I got to art. I think that made it going.
I would like to ask you, because I really would like to involve you. If you have any questions, you just fire away, okay? And we have a mic, and we can just share the voice with you. So how many of you have been on a term abroad already? Did you do this? Like one? Like going to a foreign country, studying there, seeing a university, which is different university system. So many. And who of you are still in education, in the educational process? Always learning. And do you plan to do this? Like, do you want to go? And why? To a foreign country to study there, maybe for 1 semester or for 1 year. Is this something you? And I just somebody wants to.
Well, in this case, I am from Colombia, and I came to Germany to study my master in game development and research. And I studied graphic design as a bachelor, and I wanted to get into the games industry, but in Colombia there are not so many opportunities in this field if you want to pursue an academic degree. So this is why I'm here right now, and I am staying here because I am working here in games, which I really love.
So this is your term abroad.
I mean, it's indefinite, I guess, because I'm still here.
And would you recommend it to your friends or like to people you studied with in Colombia to go and check out new countries?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it also depends on what you want to study, because I don't think my choice was based on the country itself. What I was looking for was a program that I really liked, and there wasn't anything like that in my country. That's why I wanted to look somewhere in a different country. And if you find a degree that it's interesting for you, I think it's definitely the best choice. But on a personal level, you really get to learn about how other people think, and you get to get out of your comfort zone, and you get to learn other skills that are also interesting and important for you as a professional.
Okay, thank you. Ja, genau, okay.
In my case, right after I finished school, I went to the Netherlands for a year and studied costume and stage design. And it was just because I was kind of raised with the belief that it doesn't really matter what you do, just do something with your life. Everything is an experience that gives you knowledge, whether it's good or bad, but you can always take something from it. So that was like, okay, school's finished, I have no idea what I want to do, let's just do something. Yeah, and that's when I found out, due to a different lesson, that I wanted to work digitally, and started studying game design and art in Cologne, and came back for that.
Okay. Can we, just like integrate the mic into the pen discussion again. No.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, I also can encourage everyone who hadn't have an experience abroad to do it, because in my experience I've done 1 semester abroad, and I've just came back from France, working there half a year in a company. And I think it really, really helps to gain more self-confidence, in order that you see that you're able to be in a different country with new people, with new challenges, and you can get through it alone. And you're much stronger after that. Like in my experience, it was that case that it really helped me to realize I don't have to be afraid of new situations, of new surroundings, and I can make friends and connections everywhere I go, and they will help me in my further career path as well. And I think it's a really empowering move to do it. So go out there. It's a great thing to do.
Thank you. So I can start with you, Sarah. When you decided to work in the games industry, and you started out as a marketer, and then you became like a little bit proactive and went to a game writer and said like, okay, I can do this. Was this like how important was this step, and how much courage did it take for you to say, okay, I want to make the next step on myself and ask to do something I haven't done before?
I'd say it's probably the most important part of my career so far, because without that I wouldn't have had any of the credits that I needed, any of the portfolio samples that I needed to go freelance. I wouldn't have had anything to go on to show employers. But yeah, I think it's surprisingly hard, not necessarily because of, because it's hard to set up a meeting or whatever. Like, the person I spoke to was absolutely lovely. So lovely. Like, he was really, really keen to help. And most people, I think, will be. The problem is, it's what everyone was saying earlier about stepping out of your comfort zone. It's so easy just to keep things how they are, even if how they are is really rubbish. It's familiar. It's familiar rubbish, and you just want to just be like, okay, I'm just going to stay in my rubbish cocoon, and it's going to be great. It's going to be fine. I can keep doing this. If I'm doing this now, I can keep doing it. And there's something about doing something new or setting the ball rolling for something that will be new, which is terrifying. And every time, it's again like we were saying about saying yes to things. Every time I'm given an opportunity, I kind of want to say no, like to a big degree. I'm just like, all of me is screaming, no, just go to bed, just go to bed. But and it's the same thing with like what happened with my current job at Sumo. I was approached on LinkedIn by one of the recruiters, and she was like, we're looking for someone to be the narrative designer at Sumo Nottingham, and you'd be the only narrative person there, and it's a AAA company, and she was trying to use this stuff to sell it to me, and I was like, that sounds like way more senior than I'm doing. I was in a writer's room of 8 people. I wasn't a senior writer, I was just a writer, and I thought I can't do that.
What's the difference for you
between the
senior and the stuff you did?
Years.
Yes?
Years of experience,
Okay.
as far as I'm aware. Although when I left Fusebox, the CEO said to me, if you ever come back, then you can be a senior because you worked in AAA. And I was like, all right, cool, good to know. But I guess like my point there is that, kind of again harking back to what people were saying, I didn't feel like I could say yes. And actually, initially, after my first interview, I thought, this is too much for me. I'm not going to do a good job at this, and I'm going to ruin my career. So I went back to the recruiter and I said, I'm going to pull out of this application. I don't think I can do it. And, truth be told, I was frightened. I was frightened for my career. I didn't think I had the experience. And then she came back to me and said, well, actually, the guys who interviewed you said you did really well and they want another interview. And she kind of like corralled me into like going for the next interview. And, I realize I've kind of veered off topic with my answer here to the question, but so much of it is, like we've been saying yes to opportunities and asking for opportunities, and that is the most important thing, because otherwise nothing moves forward. Everything stays as it is.
I think so, yeah, of course.
I think that, and also keep in touch with people and you noticed before, and who lectured you, and it's always good to know people who know the industry and have connections.
So, Linda, you were nodding all the time as well.
Yes. Because I think a lot of points you also had in your presentation are true for me as well, and especially the ones which relate to networking, as you said, getting to know people. This was basically the biggest thing for me, finally going to a conference and meeting the people working in the field I want to go to. And everyone was super welcoming and lovely. It was a really great experience. And in the end, this was also one of the key points why I got the job, because people at HR remembered me when I talked to them, and really tried to, where does she fit? How can we help? So it was a really great experience. I would always recommend going to meetups, getting to know people in your area. It's really good.
I think as a networker, I have to take the mic right now. I think it's so important to have a good network and to really to meet people, to talk to them, and to recommend other people, then you have the chance to be recommended yourself. I think this is really, really good. And especially because here are a lot of women, I think it's so important that we recommend each other. That you, when you can't get a job and you have no time or you have no you are not interested in, then please recommend a friend or another woman. So I think this is really good. We should do that.
We have a question.
Yes, hi. I wanted to ask, from your experience or from your perception inside the industry, how important do you think it is relatively to either stay for a longer time together experience in one place versus getting experience from several different places? How would you rank that kind of? What are the advantages and disadvantages, especially early on in the career versus later on in the career? I don't know if you maybe have any insight on that. Could I grab this?
Thanks. So yeah, for me, I've done a lot of hopping between jobs, and I've had that sort of thought as well, like, am I hopping too much? And very much when I left Fusebox to join Sumo, I was worried that I hadn't got enough experience from Fusebox and that I should stay on for longer. And I guess for me, I'm slowly learning that you only get so much experience from one place, and after that point, you know, you're staying because you love it, or you're staying because you're afraid to move. I probably could have got more experience from Fusebox, but you know, I'm getting very different experience where I am now. Before I was writing, you know, a visual novel, sort of branching visual novel, dating sim thing, and now I'm working, you know, on non-narrative games and getting that side of the experience. And I think it's good to get, it's good to work on several different kinds of games so that you can become more rounded and you can, you know, approach games from lots of different angles. But yeah, so I'd say I met up with someone recently who, you know, I was talking to him about this very topic, and I was like, oh, you know, I'd feel bad leaving a company that I'd only started at in less than a year, and that's how I felt with Fusebox. I was really sad to leave my last job, and I felt really guilty because I hadn't been there very long, and I knew they liked me. But this guy said to me, well, no, just you need to look after yourself. And, you know, even if you really like that place, just like don't stay too long in one place. Get lots of different experiences, just like hop around and don't feel bad about it. I still don't even know how much I agree with that. And I think part of that is because I do have that feeling of guilt. But guilt isn't necessarily a reason to stay somewhere. And sometimes you just have to, you know, go for opportunities. I mean, like, apply for things even if you're happy where you are and just see what happens and see what you prefer. I don't know, does that answer your question, do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, is there like a minimum number of months, years that you would say? I know there's no hard and fast rules, but I was just wondering if you have any kind of insight on that. Maybe not just you, maybe the whole panel.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know, but I would be grateful to hear your answer.
Yeah, sure. I'll answer and then I'll pass it around. Yeah, I always assumed it was like at least 1 year, ideally 2. That's complete, you know, that was just some arbitrary thing I had in my head, and I've not done that. I stayed at Fusebox for 9 months. And honestly, yeah, I think it's completely down to you and how much experience you think you've got from a place, how much more experience you think you can get from it. And when I say experience, I'm not talking in years, I'm talking in like skills and exposure to different kinds of projects and different kinds of levels of responsibility on a project.
Yes, I completely agree with this. For me, it's a personal decision. I really like security and being close to my family, so basically Ubisoft Düsseldorf is my first job, and I have been in it for almost 5 years now. And for me, it's also important we have different kind of projects, and there's a possibility to switch if you see, okay, I want to learn something new. So this is what I did. I went from free-to-play browser games to VR, so quite a steep learning curve. And this is what was important for me. I still want to have this like growth, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I need to go from one studio to another.
It's really hard for me to answer because I'm always working as a freelancer, so there is no time. I think it's better that you answered this question. Marlene?
So I think it has been answered as professionally as we could do this now right now, and I hope it's satisfying. Yes. You said like you changed your projects on which you worked on, and I think everybody did it somehow. You did it, and you changed companies, but you changed games, and you had like lots of different games, and you had like completely different genres, and some you like more, some you like less. So how do you stay motivated when you realize that you are working on something you personally do not really like?
I can't answer that because I've only worked on things I liked so far. I don't know.
I can answer. I can answer this one. I find things that I like about it. I'd say that's true not just for games that I've worked on, but you know, like even back in college doing my A-levels, you know, I'm not a naturally motivated person. I'm not someone who's good at just like studying and just doing that. I did really bad in my AS levels, at least my mock AS levels, because I'd kind of like cruised through my GCSEs, and then suddenly, you know, I had to step up and I hadn't realized it. So I ended up getting like, you know, E's. And I was like, where did this come from? And the reason I was able to do a lot better when it came around to the actual exams and to A-level exams was that I was like, okay, I'm going to find something I like about this course, about this subject. I'm going to find something that interests me. And once I'd found that thing, I was able to care about, you know, doing the research and learning, but it wasn't until I'd found that. And it's not necessarily the thing as it first appears to you. It's just, you know, really looking into it and thinking, can I make something of this? Can I find something in this that really appeals to me? Even if it's something that you create yourself, like, especially as a writer, you have quite a lot of control, and as a designer as well, you can kind of steer things the way you want them to a degree. So you might, you know, you might create a character who you absolutely love, which I, you know, for Love Island mobile game, I really liked working on that game, but there are some characters that I love more than others. And what really motivated me there as well was these characters and staying with them. And that was something that, you know, we all contribute to these characters, but being able to drive some of that and say, I want this character to be like this, and having people agree, and, you know, being able to pursue that passion was what sort of kept me on and kept me really excited about it.
Mm.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I feel the same way when I do a job I don't like. I cannot work at it, so I search for reasons of for points I like it about it. And if I don't have it in the job, my workshop today was about getting over an art block with thumbnailing creatures, and I did it because of my actual job. And there's a lot more technical and manageable about it than I used to do, and I need to do my art. So I found the way to do just every day a thumbnail and a creature for myself. And that keeps me going and makes me happier about at my job, and I'm happy when I'm coming home and I don't feel too tired to do anything else. And it got my passion back. And I need this to regulate my other job, what is newer to me. And also what helps is to talk to your colleagues who have the same problems as you or hate the same things about the job you do. When students ask you the 500th time why the assignment has to be in this format or whatever, and you can go to your colleagues, they know what you're thinking about or what your problems are, and you can hate talk a moment and feel free again.
Mm.
Yeah, that's important.
Mm. I'm really humbled about this intrinsic motivation, and that everything that motivates you, that you said right now, is something that you try to search for something that you like which is like part of the job. But what about the extrinsic motivation, like money? Is money a reason to stay in a job that could be better? How important is money at all?
Well, I try to live very, I don't know, I don't spend a lot of money. I'm very reasonable, I think. So I think I could live without, I could live with less than I get now. And I think, yeah, I don't need to work for money. I need to work to feel good and have a nice life. I try to. I know some people are not as fortunate to do so, but I'm happy I can do. Is it understandable?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't work for the money.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be passionate about it, and yeah. I don't have to do the job if I'm not passionate about it.
Mm.
I think money is very important because I think we all are worth that we are well paid, and that's the point. And I think that a lot of us work in a job who are not well paid, and this is I don't like that. I really hate that. But on the other side, I do jobs because I'm really there is this big intrinsic motivation, as you told it, and so I don't take care too much about money, which is a fault, I think, especially, and now excuse me that I'm saying that, especially when you become older, because we all have to check what is when we are maybe 70 or 80 years old, and I think it's really important to think about money, but mostly I think it's important to think about money because we all are worth to be well paid. And there are a lot of people very well paid in a lot of countries, and the creative people maybe not. And this, I don't like that very much.
Yeah, I think there should definitely be a balance. So I don't think that I could do a job I'm not passionate about, but I also want to have the security financially. Yeah, and actually I had a conversation with my mentor 2 weeks ago about her finally taking more control over her financial knowledge and savings, etc., which was very interesting. So I definitely need to do more work there because I do not understand a lot of things. Yeah, and I think it's super important to have the security as well.
So initially when you asked this question, I kind of screwed up my face like this. But no, actually listening to the others, I have kind of changed my mind a bit. I know that sounds like such a cop-out. Yeah, I guess like it's really easy when you're doing what you love to be like, I do it for free, but it's not the right attitude. It's really not, and I'm just as bad as the next person for doing that. And I've made myself crunch when I didn't need to. I've overworked when I didn't need to, both in and outside of work, and that's a really bad toxic habit, which is bad for you and it's bad for other people because it sets that expectation that they should be doing it too if you are. I've had colleagues influence me that way. I've probably influenced other people that way. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, we don't want to value ourselves with a paycheck. And I don't think that you should. Your worth is more than how much you're paid, but equally, it's not you that is being valued, it's your time, and your time is so precious. Like, I'm kind of sitting here at the end of a day just like thinking, I only have like 4 hours left of the day before I should be going to sleep, to do all these things that are gonna make my life feel like I've really done something. And it's so important to use that in a way which is exciting to you and fulfilling and fun, and gives your life meaning. And if you're not being paid enough, then your time is it's not being attributed enough worth, enough value. And so, yeah, I definitely do agree, once I forced myself to think about it, that you do need to really attribute more. You need to be stricter about how much you're being paid and trying to vie for better pay. And to be fair, I've done that myself. Every time I go for a new job, I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for about 10 grand more than last time, and it doesn't always work. It's worked like twice. But it's worth it. Just try, just ask. Thanks.
So because we just have something like 3 to 4 minutes, I don't know, like, how much time do I have, Toby? 5? Or is it hello? Hello. Okay, so I again want to open up this here and ask you if you've got anything you want to say or you want to ask, and because this is the last 5 minutes, at least in this circle with the microphone. After that, there's the networking, of course. So, can we have somebody with a mic? And just raise your arms, it's easy. Haven't I? Yeah, over there.
All right, so we talked about money. What happens, what do you do when you know that a male counterpart is getting more money for the same work you do? Is there an answer to this? I don't know.
Maybe that's why I answered so quickly before and said, yeah, I'm okay with the paying I'm getting, because I know the male programmer head instructor gets the same money. And so it's for me, yeah, I get paid what I'm worth because I do the same job and he gets the same payment. And yeah, he has the same experience. He does it a little bit longer than me, but not a lot. So yeah, that's why I answered so quickly before. Yeah. So I don't know. Sorry.
Thanks, yeah.
For me personally, I usually don't. Yeah, I try to not compare what others get to what I get, but I'm trying to check. Okay, what do I value about me and my time, and what do I think? Do I need to have a secure financial, living in Düsseldorf close to work? So taking all this into account, basically, what do I need? And for the work I do I feel that I get what I want? So I don't really look at, okay, what do others earn, to be honest.
If a guy's being paid more than you for the same job, leave. Yeah, I mean, give them a chance, sort of present the situation to them and say, this isn't fair. Maybe ask why, but I'm sort of reticent about saying that because they might bullshit you. But if they're not valuing you, and it's based, especially if it's based on your gender. I mean, it's difficult to say this because we're in a sort of job economy where it can be really hard to find work, and so it's much easier said than done to just be like, well, you should leave and find somewhere else. But also, you should leave and find somewhere else that actually does value you and your time, because you are worth a lot.
I mean, like in the industry, generally speaking, or just any jobs basically. More often men are paid more than women, and that's across countries, right? So it's really hard to just say, like, just leave a job and get to the next one where you have the same problem, right? So
yeah, I see that.
I kind of want to know, like, I don't know exactly what my male colleagues earn, but I'm just assuming, but maybe that's wrong. But in case that happens, like, I do fully agree with what you're saying, but there's this. I want to know how to counteract this problem, because it doesn't really help just to leave. I think it also helps to just start a conversation, maybe, or I don't know.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it's a kind of there is a law in Germany that I don't know who is German and working in a German company, that as far as I know, that a company with more than 200 people working there is a law that they have to show what people are earning, how much money, and so you can compare what the men and the women earn. As far as you have to check that, I'm not really sure about that, but I think it's about 200 people. But I think it's a very important fact, and I think we have to fight against that. There, the Equal Pay Day, it's always in March, and women normally work 3 months more for the same amount of money compared to men, and this is not okay. So
I also think go to HR and talk to them if you feel that you are being paid unfairly. So definitely open up the conversation and see their perspective, give them your perspective on it, and see where it goes. Because I have made the experience that usually they tried to come closer to what you need. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Just want to say that's much better advice than mine.
Any more questions? Otherwise, I would say please give a warm hand to our 4 panelists. This was 5 things I wish I would have known before entering my industry, careers in games, films, and television. And I think you are going to replace me now.
And an applause for Tim as well, please.